Becky and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment. All we want are titles.
Yep.
That's all we care about here. Just titles. And one of the ways that you can take steps toward winning titles is to maximize the trades that you have with other teams, right? Like the Minnesota Twins. A big week for the Twins, trying to figure out if they have pieces they can trade to get players that can help them start a new window maybe in 2023, or if they're going to hold on to some of these guys long term or at least through next year. Let's just go through, boys, the latest Twins trade reports and rumors. We did this yesterday, but even since we did the show yesterday, so many new things. Judd was texting us some insiding, and you can decide how much you want to bring up on today's show.
I think he was pulling our leg.
Oh, I was pulling your leg on that part.
Yeah, he was being, and that's not nice when I am 2 tequilas in I'm wrapping up my evening. You can't be texting me that a prominent Twins player is close to being moved as I'm getting ready for bed.
I was joking about that.
That's not funny.
I was joking about that.
We are in trade deadline season. You can't be floating out those rumors.
I was 5 Surleys in, and I can do whatever I want.
All right, so that thing about Josh Donaldson for 5 top 10 prospects.
Yeah, that was not real.
Probably not.
That was not real. Sorry, Dex.
God damn, Dex, you're gonna want to delete those tweets. Yeah. All right, let's start with this one. Byron Buxton says he wants to be a Twin forever for the rest of his career. Mm-hmm. I'm going to read you the quote here, but as I read the quote, the unspoken part here is, "Hey, I want to be a Twin. Totally want to be a Twin. Love the Twins. They're amazing." It's unfortunate, though, that we can't find some common ground financially, right? So he wants to be a Twin, but for more than $80 million. And by the way, I think he'll get more than that on the open market in a year and a half. So he said, everyone knows I want to be here. It's just one of those things. We didn't come to an agreement, but it's not the first time it's happened. We've been in numerous conversations before, and it's not the end. You never know how many more chances they have to communicate with each other, meaning his agent and the Twins. So it's just one of those things where, like I said, it's unfortunate this time, but I'm here with the Twins. I'm under contract with the Twins next year, and hopefully I'm with the Twins to end my career. It's unfortunate at the moment. So how do you sort of read between the lines? It's like he's saying two different things, right? He's saying, I want to be a Twin, but then he's also saying, it's really unfortunate that they don't want to pay me what I think I am worth. And I mostly side with him so far because I think $11 million a year is way too low for a guy, even though he's hurt all the time.
Right.
He's more valuable than that. He's more valuable than what Miguel Sano is making. Let's put it that way.
You think? Yeah, exactly. So there's two sides to Buxton, and I've seen them both. So when Byron's calm and talking, because he's a smart kid or a smart guy, there's that side, which clearly, and I didn't see these quotes in person yesterday, but he was clearly, had time to think about what he was going to say. And I think he does, and Dukes has reported this. I think he likes his teammates. I think he likes the guys in the clubhouse. But the other side to Buck that we've also seen, and the one that I absolutely like the most, is the guy who was upset after the team manipulated his service time a couple of years ago. And if you recall, he came in for a charity event at a hospital. And I think maybe Channel 5 caught up with him, and he was PO'd. You could tell he was clearly miffed and he was upset. Mm-hmm. And that buck had an edge to him that I think you probably see when he's competing, and that you definitely saw there. And that's the Byron Buxton that I think probably is the one who says, I'm gone. So he's smart enough to know that if he goes off half-cocked, it's going to create headlines and it's going to create controversy. And I don't think that's the best thing for him. So I think what we are reading this morning is sort of a calculated, smart guy who's just yeah, I like my teammates, which he does. I'm not going to talk a lot about the team itself. I'm not going to talk about the people who manipulated my service time. And I'm going to come off like a good guy, which I think Byron is. That being said, I think the other guy, when they screwed him, basically, and now they're coming back and insulting him, I think that guy's gone.
So on that Berrios front, here's the latest. According to John Morosi, MLB Network, the Twins are discussing Berrios with multiple teams, including the Padres and the Dodgers. And then according to SNY's Andy Martino, the Mets are not one of the clubs in the discussion for Berrios right now. But The Dodgers and the Padres might be the two best teams in baseball. They're fighting in this. Well, the Giants have a better record, actually, but I think when it's all said and done, that Padres lineup, I think they just acquired Adam Frazier, too. So if you can get the Padres and the Dodgers in a bidding war, I don't know it really sucks to lose Jose Berrios because he is the best starting pitcher you've had since Johan Santana. He's in his prime. He's durable. Ideally, you'd lock him up to a long-term extension, and he'd be here for like 5 more years. But just read his quotes. Like, he doesn't want to be here. He's mad about the arbitration standoff. I think he's mad about a few different things, and he wants to hit free agency. And so if you can get a bidding war between the Padres and the Dodgers this week, it probably rules you out from contending in 2022, but you almost have no choice. I don't know if there's another path here.
What have the Twins done in the case of Berrios or Buxton to ever make them happy? Like, what have they done? What's the move that would make you say, you know what? I not only like my teammates, but I feel loyalty to this franchise.
Yeah, well, so you're talking about some of the contractual things that
I'm talking about arbitration. I'm talking about service time. I'm talking about I'm hard pressed to think of one thing where they have truly gone out of their way, and then plus because as Dukes has essentially reported for now 3 years or something like that. How many times have they gone to the agents for both players and essentially lowballed them with team friendly contracts?
Yeah.
If they had gone to Berrios or Buxton 3 or 4 years back and said, we want to eat up your arbitration years and your first 2 years of free agency. And by the way, we're going to make it worth their while. Like, we're going to give you a contract that doesn't necessarily break the bank, but it's a really fair, good contract. I think they both signed at the time.
You brought up the arbitration thing, and I pulled up the figures here from February 2020.
Yep.
So when we talk about Berrios having a bad taste in his mouth with the organization, and like pulling him after 5 innings of a playoff game, that type of stuff definitely would. I mean, that's not going to ruin a relationship, but this type of thing could. So remember this. This is from a write-up in early February 2020, MLB Trade Rumors. The Twins have won their arbitration hearing against Jose Berrios. So baseball is so weird in that there's a 3-year period where you're eligible for arbitration, and then you and your agent can file what you think you should make, and then the team files a number what they think you should make. And it's all based on like previous track records and history, and like very rarely does the player come in at 20 million and the team comes in at 2 million. Like it's always all a reasonable amount of money. Like sometimes once you get to like second, third year of arbitration, maybe there's like a $5 million gap or something, and then you have to go to a hearing, and the judge decides which of the two. The gap was less than $400,000. So Berrios filed for $4.4 million. Said, I think I deserve $4.4 million this year. This whole system is stupid, but this is the system. Mm-hmm. So 4.4. The Twins said, we think you're worth $4.025 million. And ordinarily, you would just split the difference, and it would just be $4.2 million. Cool, both sides agree. But Berrios and his camp said, no, we think we're worth $4.4. And instead of the Twins just saying, all right, that's fair. That's not that much of a gap. That's fair. They decided to take it to an arbitration hearing where in that hearing, you literally have to sit there and denigrate. Like, you have to sit there and explain why you think he's not worth what he's asking for. Now, the Twins and other teams might say this is procedural. This is about precedent. You can't just say yes to every filing that one of your players has, because then agents are going to take advantage. Oh, well, the Twins say yes to everything, right? So I understand, like, there is a business side of this where you have to try and suppress cost to some extent, but like that's a $400,000 gap on a $120 million payroll for an organization that brings in like $300 million or $250 million in revenue.
And if you think about the potential relationships that you want to go out of your way to preserve, he's one of them.
Yes.
Like I can think of a lot of guys who I will go across the street tomorrow and denigrate and say you're terrible and don't deserve this. Jose Berrios not one of those players.
Yeah, this is where, so we talked about Jim Pohlad in the who gets it, who doesn't portion of the show today. You know, this is where an engaged enthusiastic, helpful owner would come in and say, guys, there's some players that we should probably fight against. If a middle reliever is out of his lane when it comes to how much he thinks he should make, all right, if Tyler Duffy wants to play hardball, I guess we'll play hardball. Jose Berrios, a guy that you drafted in the first round, a guy that you've developed, a guy that's been your number one starter, and you're going to play hardball over $400,000, and you're a $265 million revenue entity? Yeah. That looks terrible. And that's the type of thing when Berrios sits here and says to the Star Tribune last week, hey, it's been 7 years, and my agent and I and my family have been waiting to hit free agency to see what the market and he flat out said the Twins can offer whatever they want to offer. We'll see. But, we're not going to give them a discount. They certainly didn't give me the benefit of the doubt financially, and they didn't, they wanted to save $400,000. Well, they're not going to save anything when we have to talk about, signing me through my prime. So, yeah.
So the one thing that could throw a bit of a fly in the ointment for Friday on Berrios is I saw that the Nationals now have basically called teams and said, we are selling. Everybody is available except for Soto, which means Scherzer's out there now.
Yeah.
And so and I think I saw a report that the Mets were going to pursue him as well. But if the Padres and Dodgers get involved, he becomes the biggest fish to fry. So, because I think Berrios I believe he would be the best pitcher on the open market at the deadline, or on the market at the deadline, if Scherzer's not available. But since Scherzer's going to be, it certainly starts with Scherzer, and Berrios is now the second guy, which does not mean that you still couldn't get a good trade. It's just that you're not as important as you were a couple days ago when Washington hadn't decided if they were going to be sellers.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys want some more here?
Oh, yeah.
The OG of baseball insiding here, Peter Gammons, chimes in.
Oh, wow.
It's good to hear from Peter.
He's tweeting. So Peter Gammons says, an American League general manager thinks one of the Minnesota Twins' most interesting trade chips is Max Kepler, whose name has been linked to the Yankees. He's a really good player, says the GM. It's a good time to go get him. He's been playing a lot better. He had the walk-off hit last night. I'll throw a couple more out here, and then we can kick these around. So Taylor Rogers exited the game last night with what I believe is being called a middle finger strain. Yep. So we'll see. He's getting more examination today. Michael Pineda said he wants to be with the Twins long term. Quote, "This is my home. I want to stay here." I think because he's 32 and he's going to be a free agent, then they would trade him for something and then just sign him back in 3 months if they wanted him back.
Yep.
So the Kepler thing picking up steam is interesting. The fact that that's a conversation at this deadline, I thought that would be more of like an off-season conversation to unclog the logjam. But, if the Yankees want to give you something for the last few years of that contract, I don't buy him as a great everyday player anymore. He had the one big year in 2019. If you can capitalize on him being hot for the last month and get something of substance, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think Max Kepler is going to come back to haunt you like Byron Buxton would if you traded him somewhere.
Yeah, and I think Kepler I think there's a much better chance now that Kepler gets traded by Friday than Buxton. I think Buxton's here into the winter. Now, I think he could be traded then. That's certainly a possibility. But if Kepler can get you something, considering he's a corner outfielder, and he's a good player, but certainly not great, and he's streaky as hell at times, and I think we still don't know who he is. I think he could come back and be good, but I don't think he's going to be great. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they move him because I think they've got the potential replacements. The guy that I would like to know if you could get something for him or just get rid of the contract is Donaldson, because he's a professional enough player that I think he could help a team in the race. He can't really run right now, but that's not his forte. So if you could move that contract, because I think if you move that contract, it much more opens you up to go back to Buxton. Mm-hmm. So if you keep Buxton, trade Berrios, dump off Donaldson for almost nothing, but get the team to take the majority of, if not all of his contract, I think you're now in a position to at least make one final decent and not insulting, being the key word, run at trying to keep Buxton, which I would still do.
I believe Heyman also tweeted yesterday that the Brewers did check on him again.
He'd help him.
But yeah, it's more of the salary retain. Can the Twins shed that salary and not take as big of a return for a guy who's battled injuries for the majority of his career?
So that's the latest.
Reckless speculation.
Twins trade rumors and a Friday deadline.
Don't sleep on the Rogers storyline, though. If he disappears as a trade possibility, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. You could probably still trade him in the offseason, but you get less for him.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also, I know that the deadline brings the best offers out in teams, and so it's harder to trade guys in May and June. But when you have 8 guys that you're potentially looking to trade, which you can make a case the Twins have 7 or 8 guys: Kepler, Buxton, Berrios, Pineda, Donaldson. There's a pretty big list here. Andrelton Simmons. This is why when you know that you're a seller, if there's any way you can start trading off some of these pieces earlier before they have injury issues, it's bad luck. And I'm not saying that you can, foresee.
But we talked about this in June, Phil. We talked about this very thing. Trade off some of the pieces. Why Andrelton Simmons is still on this team right now makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. Do you think he'll still be on the team in a week?
I think there's a better chance now, yes, which I don't like, but
I do too. I don't think anyone's going to give you
the
anything.
Cincinnati Reds would have given you a little something in June. Why didn't you take it?
I don't know, but we'll keep you guys posted throughout. This is probably the last week where the Twins are going to be interesting until the offseason, unfortunately. But these Twins conversations have been presented by Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com. It is riding season. If you like to get out, it's a sweltering one today in the Twin Cities. So definitely be careful if you're out there riding. But whatever you ride, you'll find what you need. 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. And if you order by 8 p.m., DennisKirk.com ships the same day, and shipping is free for orders over $89. When the open road calls, head to DennisKirk.com. All right, every Tuesday, Declan tries to stump us. Random season recall here on Mackey and Judd, where he goes back into the archives, pulls random teams, and we have to basically answer a bunch of questions about them. And we've been very good, I think, the last 3 or 4 weeks.
You have.
Nailing the records.
Did the second season of the Wild?
Yeah, he did the second one.
And we did okay.
Not bad.
Except for captains.
But that's okay. You would take an encyclopedia.
I sucked at the captains.
All right, this week's edition.
Yeah.
The 2013 Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
So we'll start with this one, the ones you've been nailing with every team. How many wins did the 2013 Minnesota Vikings have? How many wins?
All right, Judd.
Okay. So the 2011 team was the 3-13 season.
I got this one. I know this is the Leslie Frazier era. And I can tell you that Leslie Frazier went
last year.
He went 3-13, 10-6, and 5-10-1 in his 3 seasons, and this was his last season, right?
Yeah, was this the tie at Green Bay?
I think so. Yeah, okay. Where didn't the Packers start? Did they start someone other than Rodgers in that game?
Yeah, was it Tolzien?
It was Ponder versus Tolzien or something.
Ugh,
yeah,
God.
Yeah,
because I think Rodgers was hurt. Yes, so 5-10-1.
5-10-1.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah! On the nose, 5-10-1.
Yes.
On the nose, 5-10-1.
I feel cocky.
Come on, Dex. Bring it on.
You ain't so bad. You ain't so tough. Your questions ain't so bad.
So bad. Ain't nothing.
2013 was the infamous Josh Freeman game.
Yep.
Oh, man.
What was Josh Freeman's completion percentage in that Giants game?
I'll give you this is for math only, okay?
Yeah.
Math only.
Okay.
Here.
And I'll give you within a 5% window.
So
higher,
did he
lower.
go it was he threw 50 passes or something. It was 18 for 50 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yes. Yeah, he did. I think he did throw 50. I remember watching that game in the studio.
I'm gonna say it was 35%, unless Judd has any.
And
I don't think it was below 30.
I said within 5.
Okay, that's fine then. Yep.
35%.
35%.
Yeah! 37. 37%. He was 20 of 53.
That's a win.
20
I was gonna
of
say 36%.
50.
How do you
Three.
make your first start be that horse bleep and be allowed
God.
to throw 50? I mean,
I was so
that's
jacked for
Bizarro's Zim right
I was
there.
so pumped.
That's the
that
Bizarro
trade.
Zim.
You have no idea how pumped
No,
I
they-
was for that trade.
They just signed him, right?
Or I don't remember.
Tampa Bay
Yeah,
released
he
him.
was
They
available,
loved the
yeah.
Vikings loved him coming out of Kansas State.
Also, the red flag there would be, all right, former first-round pick, why is he just available in the middle of the season to be signed? What's the red flag? Oh,
Tell him you're happy to be in Minnesota.
so was he just a bad guy? Like, was he an idiot? Like, why
don't
was he
know.
not rosterable, you know?
But he was so he was drafted. The Vikings loved him, and he was taken before Percy in that 2009 draft. And he beat the Vikings a couple of times, I think.
Yep.
In fact, I think the year before he beat them in the Metrodome.
Twice. He beat them his rookie year and then a
Yeah.
Thursday night game.
So he just fell apart. I mean, there must have been something behind the scenes as well, though. So
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, he was a weirdo. Next question. Who led the team in sacks for the 2013 Vikings?
Wait,
Okay, what year
So
did
we're just talking.
Jared? What year did Jared almost break the record?
That was when they were bad. I believe that was in 2011 because that was the 3-13 team, right? Because
Okay.
didn't they close against Chicago and he was
It was literally just running
and he was
around.
basically in the backfield while the ball was 50
Yeah.
yards downfield.
It was awesome.
I want to say that was 2000. I think that was 2011.
So the guys that would have been in the mix, Brian Robinson would have been a starter by that point.
Yes.
He was never a big time sack guy, but he would have maybe gotten you between 8 and 12.
Was Ray Edwards gone by then?
I think so. I don't
Okay.
think he was. I'm just
All
trying to
right.
think of, is
I
there
feel
anyone
like-
other than Brian? Well, Everson Griffin. Everson Griffin was on the team, but I don't remember. To me, it's like Robinson and Griffin.
Now Griffin didn't, and I'm just talking here.
Yep, talk.
Griffin didn't break out, and did he not break out till Zimmer got here?
You might be right on that.
So he was taken in the 4th round in 2010. He had the off the field problems in 2010. He was, I don't remember if Leslie ever played him as much as Mike. I mean, because Mike started to play him a ton then.
So who was, if he wasn't getting
But
enough
Griffin might not
playing
be a
time,
bad-
it was Robinson, Griffin, and then who would have been, was I guess Edwards? Was he still on the team?
Jared was still here, right?
Okay.
In third, right?
Maybe. It was right around the time where he would have been. Jared did
I thought
not
Ja-
play for Zimmer. So this
No.
would have been the last
No.
year.
And Jared was let go and signed with the Bears.
He kind of was
And-
banged up with the Vikings too at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah, I feel like the only thing with Jared is I feel that it would be too obvious.
So Robinson was a durable horse, and he would have just like grinded
Yes.
his way to 9 sacks or something.
And he could get sacks. Yeah.
Yep. So
I
don't know.
would say we should pick Robinson or Griffin.
I keep thinking Robinson.
Okay. Okay,
So
let's go with
apologies
it.
if I'm wrong here.
Okay.
Brian Robinson.
Yep.
He was second in sacks.
Did he have 9?
He had 9.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Way to celebrate
Consolation point,
way to nice silver medal, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
it's
Well,
metal.
Everson Griffin, I guess. Maybe this was his first 10 sack season. No, that's our guess, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Jared?
Jared.
I feel like you wouldn't have given us Jared.
You gonna go, Jared? Is that a final guess?
Yeah.
Or are you talking out loud?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Jared Allen.
Jared down 11.5 sacks. Made you think about it too much. Come on, guys. Come on.
I honestly didn't know he was on the team still in 2013.
11 and a
his
half
last-
sacks, actually. So
That was his
pretty
last
damn
year.
good year. At 31, yeah.
Yep.
16 games. Started all games.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Doing the cowboy thing.
All right. How many total touchdowns, rushing, receiving, and returning did rookie Cordero Patterson have in 2013?
Well, wasn't this the year that he had in the snow game against Baltimore?
Yes, this was the snow game.
Right.
Oh, was that a
Yes.
great game? I forgot about that game.
I mean, he
Well, it
had.
still lost late.
I'm pretty sure he had
Really?
like 4 or 5 as a receiver.
He returned
Probably
at
had
least
like 2 or 3
2 or
as a
3.
returner.
Yep,
So
7.
maybe like 7 or 8.
And
7.
Did he rush for? Did he get the ball? He might have got There might have been a jet sweep or something in there too. Yeah.
So like 4 receiving, 4, let's say 5 receiving, 1 jet sweep for 6, and then a couple.
Yeah, let's say 8.
8?
Yep, let's say 8.
8. Need you to be exact here. I'm not going to give you any window.
Is it 7? Oh, well, we're wrong.
I'm not giving you a window, but
you can tell us the answer.
It was 9. It was 9.
Whoa.
We were 1 off. It was 9.
I feel like you not giving us 8 when we were that close to something.
No, this was an exact one. This was an exact one.
I feel like there was like the club is breaking down.
No.
I mean,
It's a lot of dissension in the locker room right now. I'm going to tell you that.
No. Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm just not going to feel bad. I'm not going to feel bad about this.
I feel good about this performance right now. Also told you the exact sack total of Brian Robinson. I mean, this is a clinic right now.
Yeah, you're a B-Rob historian. That's good.
The Vikings team, as a team, they led the NFL in this major statistic. What was it? They led the NFL in this major statistic in 2013.
Okay, 2013.
They led the NFL in this statistic.
So Peterson would have been. Peterson was. No, this was a big season. He came back and played well. He had 2,000 yards, and then he came back and had like
rushing?
13 or 1,400.
Is that what you're thinking? Because there's no way that they led this league in anything to do with passing in 2013. The defense was suspect.
It was the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah, so it's bad. You think it was rushing? Or do you think it was or wait. I'm gonna ask a question.
Penalties.
I'm gonna ask a question. Does this include special teams categories?
No.
Okay. Penalties. Ooh, yeah, the defense was bad. Rushing or penalties? Yeah.
I'm trying to think on the rushing side, like they would have been behind in a lot of games, so they were throwing the ball probably more than they would have.
Yeah.
And
I like penalties because the defense was awful, so yeah.
All right, let's go defensive penalties.
Or just penalties, yeah.
Penalties. All right, is it a good or a bad statistic?
It's a good statistic.
So
good statistic.
Okay, so it might be. The only one that I would guess is. So he said it doesn't involve special teams, so it's not like kickoff return average or anything like that. Or,
was it yards per carry? I mean, did Peterson.
Rushing?
Let's go. I don't think it was a total rushing. Because he went from 2,000 down to like 1,300.
Yeah, he sucked.
Would they still
cut him?
He was terrible. Let's go yards per attempt.
Oh, they were second in that. All
right, well then maybe it was total rushing yards.
Rushing?
Total rushing
go
yards.
with yeah.
Right,
you guys are you're in the exact vein. Rushing touchdowns. They led the league in rushing touchdowns. You had attempts. You had yards. Rushing touchdowns.
I should have known. They didn't trust any of those quarterbacks. Matt Castle, Christian Ponder.
I feel
Josh
like
Freeman.
the specific nature of today's questions have set us up to fail.
You literally said you pumped your chest after the first 2. And then I gave you 2 more, and now you're complaining it's too difficult?
Come
on,
We
Benilde.
said rushing.
I think the audience knows who's dominating this particular edition of Random Season Recall. Okay?
The audience knows what Mackie and Judd do with marijuana.
Is it what you got? One more?
I got one more. Yeah. How many times did the Vikings go to overtime that year?
Well, they had a tie game.
At least once.
Baltimore, right? The Baltimore game didn't it?
Overtime.
Didn't the one in the snow? Yeah. So that's once. The Green Bay tie, obviously, was a full. I think that was back in the 15-minute overtime days.
Yeah, I don't.
At least it's probably. You think about 4? I'd say 3 or 4 because if we remember 2 off the top of our head, there's going to be a couple we don't.
A couple more. Let's go. Whatever your instinct is.
Let's go with 4.
It's got to be exact, by the way.
Of course it does.
Is that okay?
Yeah, if it's not exact,
right.
No, it's not okay. But we'll talk about this later.
Okay, 4.
No dinner for you.
Was it 3? Was it 5? Did they go 5 times?
Just 2. Yeah. Make you guys think
we nailed the 2 games, and we were like, "There's got to be 2 more, right?"
There's got to be more.
The game against the Bengals.
There's got to be more. It's got to be.
Did they even play the Bengals? Probably. If they played the Ravens, they probably played the Bengals. Anyways, hey, I'm happy with this performance. Random Season Recall here, 2013. Minnesota.
A lot of shots on goal. We just ran into a hot goaltender.
Yep. Sometimes it happens. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tomorrow, write that down, predictions and an accountability session. Mackie and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment. We'll see you guys tomorrow.